Good morning, Ratmen. I'm your host, Che, Lord of Bones. And joining me is my co-host, Corgi, who's getting fired if she exceeds the horny limit. We're talking about vampires today.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
And so's our ratings, because I swore in the first 10
I
seconds.
bleep it. It's fine.
Also, is the Lord of Bones thing a reference to when we play Green Hell? Because you have a really weird obsession with bones in that game.
I genuinely don't know where the Lord of Bones comes from. I think it originates from Green Hell. I think it originates from when I was playing it once. I ended up with like a bone axe and a bone knife and bone armor. And someone attacked me and I said, "You dare challenge me, for I am the Lord of Bones." And it just kind of stuck as a thing that I will occasionally refer to myself as. Whenever we play a game with anything with bones, I will declare myself the Lord of Bones.
And that is also why we are banned from going to the graveyard.
Yeah.
Among other reasons. Turns out they don't really like it if you try to do a seance in the name of the Rat Lord.
You dare stop me from digging up these bones? I am the Lord of Bones! Anyway.
Today's topic.
Today's sponsor. We have a special sponsor today.
I forgot. Please don't tell them.
It's brought to you by Ratty, a brand new browser extension that will automatically apply coupons to your checkout cart, raising the price of the item by up to 50%. Do you want to spend more money arbitrarily on the things you're buying? Use Ratty today. The 50% goes to the rats. What are they going to do with it? Terrible things. Anyway, did you know that Good Morning Ratmen is now blessed by the Mormon God?
Which Mormon God?
The one Mormon God. They've got, actually, kind of they got two, but that's beside the point. Anyway, it's fucking hilarious. But yeah, he was like, "Oh, what are you up to?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm now going to TAFE and I have a podcast." And then at the end, they did like the little prayer, and he's like, "Oh, and please bless Che's podcast and make that it's successful. Thank you, Holy Father." And it's just like, thanks, Mormon God. Thanks, Mormon Jesus. Appreciate it.
So technically, our podcast is also sponsored by Jesus.
Yeah, our podcast sponsored by Jesus, specifically Mormon Jesus. Anyway, point is, if this podcast is successful, it's not because of the Mormon God. It's because I made a deal with eldritch horrors beyond mortal comprehension.
Oh, you spoke to him too? He's lovely.
Yeah, that's a joke. It's only like 30% true.
30% is still a lot.
Yeah.
Just ask any statistician.
Also,
you guys are weird.
Before we get into it, this is a bit because the fun part is we spent so long doing different stuff. I kind of forgot how to write these scripts. Because the Age of Sigmar scripts come together different than all the other scripts. They're a lot more narrative, and then it was just like, shit, how do I do this?
Why don't you wing it like I do, man?
Because fuck you.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah. Okay. So, Corgi.
Vampires.
Yep. Not quite, but yes. What
do you mean not quite? If it sucks blood.
We'll get to the vampires. Just not right now.
Oh, then why am I here if we're not getting straight to the vampires?
So, cast your mind back, Corgi.
How
to the beginning of time. But not quite the beginning of the time. When there was time, right? And then, there was the beginning of the time. And then time happened. And then time ended. And everything exploded in a end times, if you were. And then new time started. We got new time. That goes on. Cast your mind to the beginning of new time.
So not old time. We're
talking
new time.
Yeah, so we're in new time. Shaish, the realm.
Not that again.
The realm of death was created. Once Shaish was created, which was where all the gods of death were, one of these gods, do you remember who he is, Corgi?
No.
The mega god himself, Nagash.
Nagash Slash.
Regular human necromancer who was such a Erebus that when the world blew up, he got upgraded to the god of death. Then, being a Erebus, killed a bunch of other gods of death to increase his power. But that hasn't happened yet.
God forbid a man have hobbies.
Well, it's not a man, he's a god. But, so, when Nagash woke up in his new world, buried underground, stuck for a very long time, which did not help his happiness. Now, eventually, Sigmar found him. Remember Sigmar?
Yeah, the big dude who tried to challenge a certain emperor and then got his ass handed to him, and he was like, "Oh my goodness."
No?
Well, I know the emperor was involved.
No?
Okay, it has been a very long time. I was wrong about a lot
Are you
of
thinking
things.
about 40k?
I think I am.
Yeah.
I think I remember
Sigmar was the emperor in Old World, and then he stopped being the emperor, and then eventually a bunch of other emperors. Then there was Khalfran, so now he's a lightning god and the god of all humans, basically.
It has been so long since we did this. I feel
Yeah, I know.
Oh boy.
Back when we were doing this, could have named a realm. I could have told you where it was. Now you name a realm, and I'm like, oh fuck. I don't remember which one that is.
Maybe next time we should include like a previously on blank segment.
Yeah, no. So, eventually, Sigmar, not the Emperor, found him. Now, how he found a guy trapped under a mountain of sand beats me. Sigmar...
He might have had a metal detector with like
Maybe.
people.
Yeah, Sigmar did consider leaving him there, though, because they did know each other from the old world, and mostly because they fought each other. But Sigmar wanted to create his god council, so he let him out. This made a lot of people very cross and is widely regarded as a bad move.
Really, awakening the penultimate god of death because he
He's
killed
not
all
the
the others in
penultimate
combat.
yet.
No, I'm soon to be penultimate was a bad idea.
Also, penultimate is not the
End
correct
ordeal.
term there, because that's second to last.
Oh damn it! I've been using that wrong for a long time.
It's kind of like most people have, but like he is kind of like the last god of death, so he's more the ultimate god of death, or will be. So
we'll get to that.
yeah, he joins Sigmar's pantheon of order. This will not last, so Nagash helps Sigmar spread civilization, cattle, rapidly through Shaish. But because he's a carabist, he was secretly working on his real plan. Kill everything.
So he was pulling a Hella.
Yeah, sure. Therefore, he would rule everything. This is when he starts killing death gods. So, he's declaring war on all these underworlds. He needs an army, which he had. Skeletons, zombies, and the like. But armies need leaders. Unfortunately, zombies and ghosts do not a good general make. So, he looked around the void.
Oh no.
You know what was in the void, Corgi?
Everything we didn't want to see.
Yeah, soul matter.
Oh
And
boy.
he bundled it up, merged them all into people that he knew from a previous world. Enter Manfred from Carstein. It sounded like I said from Carstein. It's von. Manfred von Carstein.
Okay, yeah, because I heard Manfred and then from Carstein, and I just thought this was a Dragon Age thing.
No, and then Neverata and Usheran. Now, the battle tome very much reads that they are clones. He combined soul bits and based it off people he knew. These aren't the same characters returned. But elsewhere, it says he recovered their souls, which sounds like the same people. So I don't know. It kind of implies a different thing and then explicitly says a different thing. Nah.
So most of Warhammer.
Yeah.
Of Warhammer. Just contradictions everywhere.
But also, Usheran went crazy and fucked off, so forget about him.
Already have.
Yep, he doesn't disappear. He'll be in a different episode. He also has a fantastic mini. Like, one of the best. Look at that guy.
Oh, jeez, he's just a gremlin.
Yep. Want to take a guess at what his faction's called?
Swamp ass?
No, the Flesh Eater Courts.
Yeah, okay, that does make more sense, but I'm gonna go with fucking swamp ass. I mean, seriously. That dude probably smells like an aquarium.
Probably. So,
Not in a good way.
these vampires spread their vampirism, which created new vampiric houses, who then in turn spread their vampirism, and so on, spreading across the 8 realms in a real tense peace with mortals.
By tense peace, do you mean they didn't want to fuck with them because they didn't know how to fuck with them?
They weren't supposed to be fighting each other, but you do have guys who are now showing up who specifically need to eat you to survive. Kind of.
Yeah, that is a bit of a damper of morale. Yeah. Do you mind letting these horrifying things called flesh eaters just, have a little bite out of you? Why are you running away?
Well, these were the regular vampires, so they weren't flesh eaters yet.
Oh, great. They evolved.
Yep. So, Nagash, not particularly popular with the rest of the Pantheon of Order.
Can't imagine why.
Didn't really get along with anyone, especially Teclis. Hated that he thought he was the better sorcerer, and as mentioned in a previous episode, he thought as the god of death, the elf souls should belong to him, not to the elven gods. So, while he was doing this, the whole helping Sigmar thing, he was slowly accumulating grave sand from the edge of Shaish, grain by grain. It's very slow. And he was using it to build his black pyramid, which floated upside down, which we've had a few of those recently. Trench Crusade had them too. So, everything was...
What is it with people in pyramids? What is it with evil entities and pyramids? Is it just like, well, pyramids no one's going to fuck with us if we're upside down?
Yeah, pyramids are cool, I guess. So, everything was going well. Nagash was building to his plan. The other gods were none the wiser. And then, Chaos attacked. Bunch of mortals had to fuck up a good thing. Chaos specifically fucked up Nagash because they knew what he was doing. They can't get their powers if everyone is dead. So they went, fuck this guy. Fuck this guy and fuck his plans. So, while Nagash and his vampire lords were getting bodied, Nagash's alliance with Sigmar finally broke. They both kind of fucked each other over and then blamed the other for not helping each other. So,
yeah, that sounds about right for them.
So Sigmar just straight up declares war on Nagash and tries to kill him. Defeats his armies, but can't find him. Ultimately...
Does he run away like a little coward?
Basically, but not really. So Nagash loses Shaish to Chaos after getting into a fight with Archon the Everchosen and losing. So it was less he ran away, more he got bodied by a completely different dude in a really, really bad way. Like
our battle shall be legendary.
It's like Sigmar kicking down Nagash's hall, being like, "Where the fuck is Nagash? He's not there." And it's just like, he's a coward. He must be running away. Cut to Nagash getting suplexed by Archon the Everchosen.
I just think of Dracula. Where's my fucking money? Yeah, you have it.
I was also thinking that. Nagash, you big fucking nerd. Where's my goddamn money? Nagash is in the corner, having the shit kicked out of him by Archon.
Add that to the list.
So, after this, Nagash hid under a lake.
As you do.
Yeah, watching the vampires fight for their lives. Or rather, their lack of lives. Also.
Oh, does that mean I'm a vampire?
Yeah, probably. So, I realize most of this video currently has been about Nagash, but hey, it is what it is, and there's a reason, and we'll get to that at the end of the video. So, enter the Age of Sigmar. Once Sigmar sends out the Stormcast, hey, it's safe enough for him to leave his lake. He retakes Nagashazar and burns its occupiers forever on a pyre. A lot of mortals fighting actually align themselves with Nagash because enemy of my enemy thing, and also they're idiots.
Yeah, I don't see how that could possibly go well.
Yeah, this was a bad idea.
Hey, why don't we seek help from that weird guy who keeps trying to kill everyone? I'm sure he'll help us, right? Why did he try and kill us?
So we're a bunch of mortals, right? We're all gathering that. We all live and die.
Yes.
What I'm thinking, we should make a deal with the god of death, who wants to turn everything into zombies. This will in no way negatively impact us.
I mean, his name is Nagash. He can't be that bad of a person.
Yeah. So at this point, Nagash starts his ritual with the Black Pyramid, doing a ritual that will kill everything. Everyone is attacking Nagash to try and stop it. And Clan Eshin of the Skaven portal in, possibly to disrupt it, possibly to steal some realm stone. It's inconsistent. We've talked about this several times prior.
Honestly, knowing them, they were probably just like, no, dude, you're bad for business.
Yeah. Originally, it was the Skaven fumbled into it, and we're just like, ah. And in the most recent 4th edition, because this is 3rd edition because they don't have a 4th edition book yet, the most recent 4th edition Skaven book was just like, oh no, it was 100% intentional. The Skaven knew what they were doing. The Eshin deliberately did this to stop his plans.
But at the same time, it's such a fucking Skaven thing to do.
Whereas prior, it was just fumbled it. They went, we'll use this opportunity to steal Realmstone, and ruined everything for Nagash. And we're the only people to successfully save the universe, basically.
It's the equivalent of a master plan being foiled by just a rat appearing out of nowhere and chewing the correct cable.
So, it's also pointed out that if Nagash's plan worked, it wouldn't have ended well for the vampires, being that they needed things to eat, and his plan was to kill all those things.
Yeah, that's what we call exhausting the supply.
Yet the vampires were still fighting for him and working for him. However, they didn't really have much of a choice, because they were created by Nagash. They still have to do what he says. Like, actually compelled, rather than, do it, or I'll kill you. But, because they were human once, they do have independent thought. And their independent thought does not think particularly highly of Nagash.
So in other words, they are more like zombies than they are vampires.
No?
You said they were once human and they need flesh to survive, right?
Well, they drink blood.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I must
eat
have gotten
things.
confused there.
Yeah, the flesh-eater courts are a different thing. But they are vampiric in nature. But these are the straight-up just vampires. They drink blood.
Yeah, a bit hard to drink blood when all the blood that you drunk is now currently in a different domain and inaccessible.
Yeah.
Plus, no longer alive.
But that's what the battle tome says, right? That they are compelled to follow Nagash. They don't have a say in the matter. They have no choice. Then, immediately, the next line is like, Nagash is cool with them having free will because they make good generals and they do as he says, and if they don't, he kills them. So...
he fumbled the bag.
Yeah, so more so, again, with the Battletoad saying one thing, and then immediately saying a different thing. It says they don't have free will, they have to do what Nagash says. And then goes, actually, they can say no, and he will just kill them. But it's like, oh, they are physically compelled, and they have to do it. They can't say no, but they can.
They are so afraid of this man that they feel compelled to never say no until they do. And then he kills them because he's like, dude, what the fuck? Why are you using the free will I gave you?
But yeah,
sorry that I left you.
Yeah. They do keep the whole, man, we really fucking hate Nagash thing to themselves. Because the whole, he'll kill us.
Yeah, I mean, Jesus Christ, imagine walking up to a giant god being and being like, I hate you! And then being surprised when he just, like, crushes you with his thumb and he's like, for you, it was the day that Bison entered the village. For me, it was another Tuesday. Rest in peace, Royal.
He died, like, 20 years
I don't care! I can still feel sad.
Might have died before you were even born.
No way. I'm fucking fact-checking that.
1994. He died before I was born.
Damn it. But I can still feel sad, okay? You can't gatekeep my sadness, man.
I can and I will. Anyway.
Now that would be an excellent out of context.
So, when the forces of death fumbled the bag, we know it sent a ripple of death magic across the mortal realms and Blight City, known as the Necroquake, or, as I keep flubbing it in all the other episodes, Necrocake.
Still delicious.
So the Necrocake, that one was intentional, just resurrecting the dead and just killing a lot of random things. It also slingshot the Black Pyramid into the center of Shaish and just created a, quote, howling vortex of death magic, also in the center of Shaish.
Well, I mean, at least it's contained.
No, it's not. Not at all. So this is known as the Shaish Nadir and is slowly drawing everything into it and will eventually consume everything. Not just its Shaish, everything.
Okay, maybe not a little contained. Maybe a little, very much super uncontained and catastrophic.
This also powered up the vampires. So now they can go on their vampiric raids and spread their kingdoms. Begun the Soul Wars has. Anyway, that's my Yoda impression.
I sincerely apologize for both of our impressions.
This was the second edition of Age of Sigmar. Season 2, if you will. So, they then expanded rapidly at the request of Nagash. Because the time was now, and they were all juiced up on death magic, and everyone else was struggling with all the zombies. Then, Nagash had a cunning plan, you see. If he could just collapse a bunch of realm gates that connect to Shaish with magic as part of the War of Light and Death, a very detailed war, you could probably make a whole video about just that war, but it was Nagash against the elves. They wanted to absorb the power of these realm gates into the Nadir, the giant void eating everything. Now,
Delicious.
this ended in a god-wizard fight between Nagash and Teclis. Remember, Nagash was kind of pissed that Teclis believed that he was the better wizard than Nagash. So, finally, they got to duel.
And Nagash got his ass whipped?
Nagash got the absolute shit kicked out of him.
So, he got humbled pretty damn well.
Yeah.
Except, knowing him, he probably would have been like, no, this is bullshit. I had a little bit of a cramp, so this wasn't a fair wizard duel. Fuck you.
Yeah, it didn't go great for Teclis, but, keep in mind, Teclis is a nerd. So Teclis is a very good wizard. Nagash did get some good hits in, and Teclis has yet to recover. But he basically destroyed Nagash's body, and his spirit had to fuck off back to Shaish.
Damn, killed him so hard he had to respawn.
Yeah, it says his body was shattered, and his spirit had to leave. He really hit her with the fucking Eye of Agamotto. Kill the body.
But not the soul. See you back in a minute as Jeff, motherfucker.
What was
Side note, we should play that later.
Yeah, we should. So, the elves did some magic to stop the effects of the Necroquake. The decrease in death magic decreased the amount of ghosts and skeletons and shit. But you know what didn't need it? You know what didn't need it?
Sorry, I'm trying to remember. Was it Blight City?
You know what didn't need it?
No.
Vampires.
Oh, that makes more sense because they're already dead. I don't know why I thought you were going into a Blight City thing.
Because they have like the mind control. They're pseudo living versus like resurrected using death magic. They are just kind of living beings, so they don't need the death magic to survive.
No, that does make sense.
Yeah. So they expanded again into territory held by the other followers of Nagash. And Nagash couldn't do shit because he got fucking bodied by Teclis because he's a dumb fucking loser Erebus. Now, they, being the vampires, assassinated rivals and researched illegal necromancy. and privately toasted Teclis for unknowingly bringing about the golden age for the vampires.
Wait, hold on. Illegal?
Yep.
Necromancy, implying that there's a legal form of it.
Yeah, so there's the necromancy that Nagash is like, hey guys, you can learn this necromancy. And then there's the necromancy that Nagash is like, don't learn this necromancy. Probably because it'll help you kill me. No. And then the vampires are like, what are you gonna do about it, fucking loser? What are you, little ghost baby? Little bitch baby ghost boy? And he was like,
nobody have them.
Alariel, though.
Who?
Alariel, another elf god.
Oh.
We talked about her. I showed you the model of her. She rides the giant beetle.
Oh, yeah, still no. It has been a very long time, and my memory is not as good as yours.
Yeah, this is November. The last time we did an episode was November of last year, I think.
A fantasy one?
Yeah. October. So the last time we did a fantasy video was in October of last year. Jesus. and early October. It's been months.
Humans, dreadnoughts,
Yeah, it was October.
21st.
It was October.
Skaven.
It was October. Yeah, so at the end of the war, she did a big spell that brought new life across the mortal realms, as we mentioned in passing in the Ideneth video, which was also October. No, that was September.
Of last year?
Yep.
Man, I must have been out of it then.
Yeah. This imbued the land, all the lands, with life magics. Vampires, however, cannot live where there is such immense life magic. Really fucked them over. A lot just had to get up and leave wherever they were living.
Man, can't believe she fucking kicked out hardworking individuals just because they're a little bit evil.
Yeah. It wasn't even intentional. It was a byproduct.
It was full on, oh wow, I accidentally solved that problem?
Yeah.
Neat.
So, Corgi, you'll be happy to know that I could not, for the life of me, find a whose boat is that boat for this episode.
You're lying to me. I know you're lying to me.
I'm not lying. I couldn't find one. Now, with that being said, Corgi.
No.
Whose boat is that boat?
I told you you were fucking lying to me, you fucking little shit. I'll fucking break your...
Whose boat is that boat?
That's not a boat.
Yeah, neither is the fucking picture of a clock. Whose boat is that boat?
How'd you know I drew a clock?
I drew...
that one! Sorry, no. No, sorry. No, I mean, like, right now. I had just drawn a clock. I thought you were, like, watching me over my shoulder, and I'm like, I'm not there yet. Let's
Whose boat
see.
is that boat?
The Punishers?
Nope.
Yeah, because I was like, that doesn't look like it could be the Moon Knights.
I'll give you a second guess.
I'm just imagining Nagash possessing it like Knight Rider.
No. Anyway, it's a Toyota Century, a Japanese exclusive vehicle, and the go-to car for the Japanese taxis. That's whose boat it is, Japanese taxi drivers. And bizarrely popular in my city. I have seen at least 5 different imported Centuries, one of which had the custom license plate Weeb. I looked it up once. Including import price, a 2003 Toyota Century would cost $20,000. I don't like the new one. It's too big. They ruined it. They're making a big one. I don't like it. It's bad.
And how is this relevant?
It's not. I told you. I couldn't find out whose boat is that boat for this episode.
Oh, you motherfucker.
There's no whose boat is that boat for this episode. But we do it every week. So I had to come up with one.
One of these days, you're going to wake up in your room, you will see your beautiful wife beside you, and then you will see a giant tinny crash into your face. And I will be there, asking you, whose boat was that boat, motherfucker?
Yeah, I can just, like, when you move in, I can just wake you up in the mornings by, like, throwing over the door, going, Corey, whose boat is that boat?
I think if you did that, I would
not notice, because you're fucking deaf.
How dare you? That's true. But how dare you?
I'm gonna have to get used to speaking loudly again. Ugh.
Wah, wah.
Hear better. Anyway. But, as a whole, the end of this war just shattered the forces of Nagash and created the semi-independent vampire kingdoms, also known as the Soulblight Gravelords. In a real-world sense, the forces of Nagash army ceased to be a thing, and now there was vampires and several other independent armies you can now field. So,
I'm just still processing the fact that the fucking vampires are in the fantasy Warhammer universe. I mean, it makes sense, but at the same time...
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. It makes more sense than vampires being in 40k, which they are also there. There are also vampires in 40k.
Yeah, but that makes sense because they're part of Sanguinius's groups.
Yeah. But they had to, like, science vampires into existence versus fantasy where they could just go, yo, it's fucking vampires. So, now, 3rd edition, right? Age of Beasts. So, Gur, the realm, dicked around by death magic and life magic through its magic, the magic of beasts, into disarray and caused its magic to ripple across the 8 realms. Now...
sorry, real quick. I just looked up tech lists so I had a reference for my art.
Yeah.
Why the fuck does he look like Moon Knight? Like, I'm not even joking. He looks like what I would expect.
Like Moon Knight.
He's what I would expect Moon Knight's outfit to look like if they were to fantasy him. Like some sort of archmage? Archmage?
No.
I don't remember which the two it was, but... I mean, just That one's just cool as shit, though.
Yeah. I mean, that's
Yeah,
the
no
standard
wonder
elf
Nagash.
outfit. That's what a lot of the elves look like.
No wonder Nagash died like a punk.
Yeah. Teclis is a fucking nerd. Now.
Remember, kids, reading
Yeah.
makes you better than death.
Yep. So, the vampires, right, are these intelligent, noble beings, well-reasoned aristocrats. They are slow and methodical and do things for a reason. But actually, vampires are all psychopathic animals, deep down. And they think they still retain their nobility and humanity and control, but it's all a facade. The vampirism drives their actions more than anything else. This magic, the magic of beasts, hit that animal deep down.
So, sort of like, and this is again very specific to what we've been doing lately. So, sort of like in Wealth by Night,
Yeah.
where the instinct just sort of overpowers.
I mean, that's just, general being a
lycanthropy.
werewolf. Yeah. But, quote, as waves of animalistic power howled across reality, the beast inside each Soulblight vampire howled back. I don't know why I paused for too long. But, yeah. Anyway, point is, they tore each other apart. Entire vampiric dynasties were wiped out within days by their own hands. And not only that, they ripped through their cattle, exhausting their blood supply. Now, vampires have to drink blood. Otherwise, they devolve into an animalistic, mindless creature. Though, they can survive on animal blood. They just don't, because they root like that. So,
They're so selfish for real.
Yeah, so having no blood presents a large problem. So this new problem, every vampire had to deal with in their own way. Some vampires went on pilgrimage to Gur and discovered the ruins of the Askergi Rankai. An old...
Gesundheit?
Askergi Rankai. An old vampire order. They have since revived it and are dedicated to not being animals. They don't feed on mortals and only feed on animals from Gur that they hunt.
Oh, well that's oddly considerate of them.
They don't create new vampires because they believe that's an animalistic trait, and the feasting on animals does make it harder for them to control their urges. But that's kind of the point. They try to avoid people, but if they do stumble into them, bad things. They will just hang the person and cut them and then meditate in front of them. The point being refusing to drink the blood as the person slowly bleeds out. Sometimes they lock themselves in a coffin with the person for days.
This is
Again,
my person now.
The point, I'm not going to drink the blood of this person until they just die.
I mean, that is one way of restraint, but at the same time, that is not restraint at all.
Yeah, they're sort of like vampiric monks, but coming to terms with their inner sense of self is just not massacring people.
But if they happen to die...
Yeah. There was a show I really liked as a kid called Being Human. There's a British version, there's an American version. Both are pretty good. The American version's not as good because it's a lot more tame. But the first 3 seasons of the British version are really solid. And then it does the British thing where the entire cast leaves. And then they continue the show with new people. And it's just like, not as good. But there's a character introduced in the 4th season that I quite liked. Who was a vampire. And he spends 2 hours every day, like, making this whole domino, like, chain thing.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the characters is like, oh, so then you, like, knock it down. And he's like, no. Then I just deconstruct it and put it back in its box. Because the whole point is controlling the urge to knock it over. Because this guy was just, like, vampire war criminal. He just, like, massacred people en masse and is now trying not to drink human blood. So he has to constantly control his urge, and his exercise is placing dominoes. Yeah, dominoes one by one, and then picking them up one by one. And it takes like 2 hours every day to do.
Yeah, no, at that point, I think I'd just go straight to killing humans. I mean, that sounds so unsatisfying.
Yeah, that's the point.
You couldn't have chosen something else.
Anyway, really solid show for 3 seasons. So, Askerga Renki also don't get into the political games of vampires, nor do they practice magic.
So what do they do?
Sword fight.
They pull a U?
Yes. For the record, Corgi learned recently that I am a trained sword fighter. I am trained to fence at competition level. Granted, I probably couldn't do it these days because that was like 10 years ago, but I know how to sword fight, and I'm also a trained archer.
Point is, this dude is the best guy to be around if there's a zombie apocalypse or guns stop working.
I really went, you know what, I'm going to learn medieval skills.
And then it worked for you.
Yeah. I don't own a sword, but I do own a bow. Yes. But on the flip side, you have the Avangori that just went, fuck it, and fully embraced the animalistic side, just abandoning all pretense of civility, which worked in a way. They learned to control the animal by just accepting they were animals.
That's one way to do it. That's sort of like, I control the addict within me by... No, that would get us
doing
demonetized.
all of the heroin.
Never mind, you just went straight for it.
You can't be addicted to drugs if there are no drugs left. Anyway, a lot of vampire dynasties are just on business as usual, because the Dawnbringer Crusades were really just set up a town and then fuck off to set up more towns. Then there were many towns the vampires could just spread out and take with little issue, and then they just send new settlers that they could just kill, thus creating an endless buffet of blood.
Good for them.
Yeah.
I mean, bad for everyone else, but, you know, it's not about us all the time.
Yeah. The vampires are also currently looking for a way to end Nagash's control over them. My suggestion, put a bag over his head, chuck him in a white van, and lock him up with Slaanesh. It worked before.
But should we really punish Slaanesh like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, fair point. That bitch is crazy.
Possibly, if they worked together, they could do it, or at least work out how to end the Error of Beasts' magic effects on them. But they are dicks. Similar to Skaven, every dynasty believes they alone will be the dynasty to take power and rule over all other dynasties, when, in fact, they are idiots.
Kind of makes me think of Vampire the Masquerade, but I think that's kind of the point, right?
Yeah, probably. So that does it for today's episode. It was short because it's been so long. I did an Age of Sigmar video. I kind of forgot how to do them. And 2, I usually do lore and then the factions, but there wasn't too much on the lore and a lot on the factions. So hopefully the next video will be longer and we'll get into each family and vampires that run them. However, right, I started researching this video, realized, this is going to be 2 parts. Shit. Didn't have the time to make them into 1 part. And there was a problem with making 2 parts because, Corgi, do you know what next week is? Not, the month.
I was going to say February.
Yeah, it's February. Now, what's the special about February?
School?
No.
I don't know what February is.
You want to take that again? What's so special about February?
It's Warhammer season?
No, Jesus Christ, Corgi, come on.
I'm sorry, man. What have I forgotten?
It's the shortest month of the year.
Wait, really?
Yes? It's 28 days in February?
I honestly completely forgot.
Come on, man.
I never think about how long months are. For me, a month is like a Stardew Valley month. It's just 30 days and that's it. Well, 28 days.
This is now permanently etched online. You can't live this down. You didn't realize February didn't have...
I don't think about months as often as you do, man.
Anyway,
my months aren't busy.
Point is, it's the shortest month. So, Dwarf Month. We're going to be covering dwarves, Votan, more dwarves, possibly squats, or possibly more dwarves. We'll see. But that means we'll come back in March for more vampires.
Oh, you're making it my birthday month?
Sure.
That was intentional and I won't say anything otherwise.
Alright. But yeah, so, again, I made a mistake in making this a 2-part video when the next video, the part 2, is going to come out in a month's time. But hey, we make mistakes here. We live and we learn and we make mistakes and then we inevitably repeat them again. I said part 2 of the Gene Stealer cults is coming out next week about like 3 months ago.
Yeah, we kind of tend to do that.
Yeah, I kind of like
Forgot.
find something that I find more interesting and then want to do. And the Gene Stealer Cults video was partially, there was some other stuff behind the scenes that made problems where I was specifically waiting for stuff to release, and then I got the lore, and then it was like, oh, there's fucking nothing here, cool. And then I just was waiting for some more stuff to release, and then I just never got around to it. I actually think I did start writing it, I just didn't finish it. There's also a Gloomspite Goblin episode that I started writing and I haven't finished yet. That was supposed to be this episode. But yeah. Anyway, that does it for this week. It was a short one. It was an easy one. This will be so quick to edit. Anyway, anything you want to say, Corgi? Because I'm just sort of waffling at this point.
I've done 5 drawings.
It wasn't a long episode.
Shit, man, I hope this is enough for you.
It'll be fine as long as it's not like the fucking Lamenters video where the drawings had nothing to do with the episode.
We'll talk about that after the episode.
Okay. Anyway, that's all. Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.
Goodbye. So last episode, right? I have this thing installed, like a browser extension called vidIQ. Apparently it's good. I haven't really found any use for it, but it scans or it like suggests use quote unquote use AI to suggest good titles. They're like, I remember I did the Gene Stealer Cults video. I typed in the title and I was like, oh, okay. Have you tried? This video will be deleted in 1 month, and I'm like, no. And then there was another that was like, I tried the 24-hour Gene Stealer Cult challenge. Will I make it? And it was like, what the fuck is that title? I almost used it because it was fucking hilarious. But it clearly thinks that this is a good title and not insane. But the file names are for every episode is just GMRM and then the number of the episode. And so that's what gets automatically applied. It used to not know what to do with that, but now it seems like they've upgraded the AI and it scans the audio. Because last episode, one of the suggestion names, which was fantastic, was Ratman Embark on a hilarious boat adventure.
Which technically true.
Yeah, and it obviously scanned the whose boat is that boat section. Me losing my shit laughing at how stupid that segment was. And just went, yeah, this is Good Morning Ratman, so they're Ratman, and it's a hilarious boat adventure. It was like the first time I've ever seen an AI suggest an actually intelligent title. It wasn't fitting with our theme at all, but it was correct. It would have worked, and it acknowledged that we were the Ratmen. It was also joined the Ratmen on their wacky Praetor boat escapade.
Boat escapades. Not exactly what I would describe us as having.
I'd say, whose boat is that? Boat is some boat escapades.
It's also going to be a cancelled section soon.
Yeah, it's not.
No, but it helps me cope.
Mormons. I made friends with Mormons because I always wanted to talk to the Mormons, and then
Tax benefits?
no. And then they fucked off and we got new Mormons, and then there was just the cycle of Mormons, and it was just like, eh. But then, unprompted, the first Mormon that I met like a year and a half ago like showed up at my house the other day and was just like, I'm about to leave the country. I already thought he left the country. And then he was like, oh, you want to like chat? And like, they're fun, specifically him, he's fun to talk to. The rest were just like, and we're here to talk to you about Jesus. Let's talk about Jesus. Everything's going to come back to Jesus. Whereas talking to Elder, let's call him because that's his name, is just like, some monarchy, right? What the fuck's up with that? And we were just talking about like the monarchy and just stuff that has nothing to do with Jesus. And then at the end of the session, he's just like, so like we were talking about the monarchy and Jesus was a king. So, you know, Jesus was like, thanks, man. Good chat.
Did you feel enlightened?
No. There was a loose implication from one of the other Mormons that I might have been possessed by Satan, and I'm like, I swear to God, if you go, we can do an exorcism, I'm out. I'm not talking to you anymore.
Well, I mean, if they're gonna offer to do an exorcism, shouldn't they realize that obviously if you were possessed, a demon would go, no?
No. Did you know that Mormons, as a Christian, they're not Christians. Mormons are their own unique religion by all metrics, except for the Mormons are like, nah, bro, we're Christian. We're totally Christian. And then you measure it from everything else as well. Well, you're too big to be a cult. You're too, like, embedded and entrenched and been around for long enough and you're surviving. But you don't adhere to Christian tenets at all. You're just kind of based off Christianity and then have an entirely new prophet and sections of prophet and a whole new holy text. You are to Christianity what Islam is to Christianity, where you acknowledge that and then add on a bunch, and then you're just like, it's a new religion. But they're like, nah, bro, we're totally Christians. They're not. They're their own religion.
But what makes them different from Jehovah's Witness?
Jehovah's Witnesses are a lot more culty.
Yeah, I can agree to that. My nun used to be one.
Yeah, they've got some weird beliefs. So do the Mormons, to be fair. But Jehovah's Witnesses are a lot more, like, they're deliberately insular. And, like, there can only be so many people who go to heaven at once. So while they do kind of, like, expand, they don't really push as far as the Mormons, because the Mormons are different. Also, Elder is kind of, like, chill. Whereas some of the other women, they were just like, oh, you know what's great? The world's ending currently, and we're all gonna die, and we're gonna go see Jesus, and just like, Jesus Christ, woman, you're in a fucking doomsday cult. What the fuck are you talking about? Whereas it's like, man, I really hope we don't all die. I like he's cool.
Would really suck if we died today. Anyway, don't forget your drink.
We're also like chatting, and he's like, you know, I didn't grow up in Utah. I've smoked weed. And it's like, I don't really think you should be telling us this, but that's fine.
God, now his Mormon fellows are gonna watch this podcast, and you just ratted him out.
I should probably censor his name because it is his real name.
Call him Elder Maxon. Come on, man.
Yeah. Anyway,
it's right there.
So some of that's out of video content. On a similar note, I was talking to my Japanese friend earlier today, and she keeps getting hoodwinked by Christians. Like,
how do you get hoodwinked by Christians? Is it you just walk down the street and then all of a sudden, ah, Jesus?
The first time Mormons showed up, and like, she technically it wasn't her first time in Australia. She'd been in Australia before, but it was just like, oh, you know, I'm sort of new here. Maybe these are like people trying to greet me who live in the area, and so she invited them in, and they had like a nice chat, and then like 10 minutes go by, and they're like, so we're here to talk about Jesus, and she's like, fuck. Except she doesn't swear. But she says, oh my God, a lot. That's like the only like swearing she's ever picked up is just like, oh my God. Which is funny because she's not Christian. So then it was like, But then she was just like, but I don't know anyone, so I guess I'll hang out with the Mormons. So then she was hanging out with the Mormons for a bit, and then she met some other people, and they seemed cool, and then they turned out to be Christian. So then she attends the like Christian group, because it's just like, it's people to hang out with and like talk to and meet new people. And then she was telling us today, she was like, I went to a meetup of Japanese people. It was all Japanese citizens living in my city. And we were chatting, and then all of them, which was like 15, and like, we're just like, now it's time to pray to Jesus. And they're all praying, and they're like, oh, I noticed you didn't pray to Jesus. Do you have a moment of time to talk about Jesus? And she's like, what the fuck is going on? Why can't I escape them?
So,
everywhere I go, people just are like, surprise, Christianity. Which, for the Americans in the audience, religion's not a thing you talk about in this country. Like, you're not like, hey, I'm Christian, let's talk about Christianity. That's a weird thing. That was the thing I had to explain to the Mormons when they were just like, yeah, people are really like cagey to talk about us. And I'm like, yeah, that's because we don't talk about religion. It's not a thing. Like, if you're religious, you're quiet about it and you keep to it yourself. If you're not religious, you're quiet about it and you keep to yourself. You just don't talk about it.
Speaking of science vampires, I still need to read that book about the vampires that are fucking terrified of angles. Oh, sorry,
Not
that
terrified,
died.
it kills them. Strokes out their brain.
Which, what was the explanation for that again?
It's basically just a glitch in their brain.
Those two walls are a bit too close together. Oh, fuck!
Right angles stroke out their brain and they just fucking die.
So they can't ever do that fucking, the loser hand gesture. They'd just do it and they'd be like, don't.
I started reading that book. It had a really good opening, and then I just didn't get around to finishing it.
Oh, I thought you were going to say then it just fell off, because I was going to say that was me with Silo.
It's me with a lot of things.
Nanobots, man.
The Askurga Renki